Welcome to Your First 60 Days, a podcast series dedicated to helping senior leaders integrate into a new organisation and level up on their leadership. This morning, I am welcoming Simona Tiplia, Vice President of People and Organisations. Simona is passionate and has got lots of examples of when onboarding has gone really well, and also including through her own experience where there have been some learnings. Welcome to a great conversation. Simona, it is an absolute pleasure and honour. I'm thrilled to have you alongside me in the studio. Thank you for being here. I know your diary is incredibly busy, so it's an even bigger thank you for creating the space.
Thank you, Tess. The pleasure is mine. It's always a pleasure to be reflecting with you on whatever topic.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And you know, this particular conversation is very much geared around to how we can help senior leaders integrate with ease into their organisation, and especially if that's a new system they're joining, or if they're elevating up into a much more senior role, it's almost like a new organisation. And I really would love to start with the I, coming into the human and your own experience. With the benefit of hindsight, which is always a beautiful thing in retrospect, with the benefit of hindsight, what have you learned? Because you're a senior leader having moved around a few different organisations. What have you learned about that delicate moment of your onboarding?
I'm a senior leader and I'm an HR as well. So obviously,
Yes.
I had various experiences on my own, transitioning into different roles and different companies, but also sometimes hand-holding other senior leaders or creating the framework for a successful integration or a successful transition. I've had many learnings over the years. At the beginning of my career, I was quite excited about the first 90 days book, so it was almost like a Bible, you know?
Yes.
Any promotion or any job change would come with a rigorous application of the 90 days. I had my Excel file with... Then, as I was progressing into my career, I started to be more nuanced and looking a bit beyond the obvious. So the learning from my recent years is not to rush into action and not to rush into immediate impact.
Yeah.
I found it's extremely valuable to do systematic listening on all directions,
Yes.
listen to understand before acting. And if I am to wrap it up, it's to show respect for those who were before you and
Yes.
who brought the context, the company or the team to where is it today. And in a nutshell, it's honoring the past.
Yes.
Before getting momentum to
Yes.
have any impact.
Having worked together quite closely over more recent years, you will know that something I speak a lot about is if we can start by honouring the history, but if we don't start there, there can be a little bit of a reaction. Have you experienced that yourself? That reaction of either you or someone else trying to go too quickly?
P&L leaders sometimes, they want to demonstrate value, and demonstrate why was I brought here and so on,
Yes.
why was I promoted. So I have a funny example of a leader who joined as a CEO of a division of the company I was working with. And during his first month in the role, we were having a leadership conference where we would have the strategy cascade, further development of the strategy with the leaders there and so on. So you could only think that that's the appropriate moment to listen and learn.
Yes.
During his first week. Guess what? In his introduction on the stage, he's already shared what are we going to do and how are we going to do it. So you can imagine the chill in the room.
Yes. And you've had experience across multiple industries, multiple organisations, and I know you are particularly passionate about partnering with the business on growth, but doing it in a human way and where you can, digitally enabled. Could you say a wee bit around this digitally enabled whilst keeping the human dimension? How are you balancing that in your current context?
while I've spotted opportunities in my first 60, 90
Yes.
days, I was struggling to gain momentum to make an impact fast, because always when you are appointed in a new role, you would like to accelerate the time to perform
Yes.
in the way that you take pride in how do you influence the system
Yes.
and what's your mark in the system. For almost a year, I was questioning my impact and am I able to make a significant impact
Yes.
around here. But I also took the time to understand the organizational dynamics, the culture. I've invested into relationship and building a network.
Yeah.
And while it took me longer to get buy-in and to get alignment around the opportunities I've seen in dialing up the talent agenda and the
Yes.
culture overall, once I got to the point to get alignment, I had an accelerated
Nice.
impact
Yes.
because the entire network was working with me.
Yes.
So I got to the point on having my business peers, be it general managers
Yeah.
or functional VPs in other functions,
Yes.
sponsoring those initiatives because they believed in it. One of the interventions was to implement an AI-powered talent marketplace, which would connect people with job opportunities and development opportunities across
Yes.
all divisions of the company. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And it worked particularly well, and having the system believing in the idea
Yes.
of
Yes.
creating a strategy for everyone to reach their full
Yes.
potential, they were ready to enroll there as mentors. They were ready to post development opportunities in
Yeah.
the form of gigs, so people could join projects of their interest in expanding their capabilities and so on.
Yes. So let me switch gears, if I may. And this is as you observe your own organization on onboarding, but also take into consideration your extensive experience across other industries and organizations, because you've worked in a beautiful variety of global businesses with different complexities, different cultures. What do you see as the classic blind spots for those new leaders trying to integrate themselves?
Building on your point on the human aspect and the importance of relationships, I'm reflecting on my past experiences, having worked in two big CPG companies, which were both very relationship oriented and
Yes.
connected organizations.
Yeah.
So, in such organizations, the relationships are gold. There is no way to make an impact or get things done
Yes.
unless you nurture the relationships and unless you invest time in that. And very often leaders would jump into the strategy, into the functional part,
Yes.
into the concrete here and now, while I'm thinking that in any sort of company at the beginning of the journey, it's worth to invest in the, I call it the friend part.
Yes.
So, couple of times I've worked with 4F framework
Yes.
for onboarding leaders.
Yes.
And I always start with the first F, which I call it
Yes.
the friend.
Yes.
The friend is understanding the people around,
Yes.
getting to make almost friends at work.
Yes.
Reliable people from
Yeah.
early on who can advise you and whom you could ask the uncomfortable questions.
And I spoke to 25 pretty significant organizations in the process, and there is some fantastic best practice. So I want to be clear, there is some wonderful stuff in terms of ideas, process, discipline, ownership. However, what I noticed in terms of a blind spot was a lack of attention or even aversion to endings. There was very little attention or space created for truly processing the ending before the new leader could really take hold.
That's such an interesting point. It gets again into understanding the context you operate in,
Yes.
understanding the history,
Yeah.
understanding the hidden forces coming from behind.
Yes.
and fully processing the context, be it the person who was in the role before got promoted and had a success story,
Yes.
or did, or
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yes.
And if the previous leader is still around, it's sometimes the transition gets neglected.
Yes.
How much more effective it could be if you'd spend time in a proper transition, getting the learnings,
Yes.
getting even the contracting on what could it be the next
Yes.
chapter
Yes.
in partnership with the prior leader.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then it's not only the contracting on a one-to-one, but also the impact, understanding the impact the prior leader had on the team and on the
Absolutely.
context,
Yes.
and what do they need more of or less of,
Yes.
and how to continue the story of the
Yeah.
prior leader. Yeah.
Yeah. Often I discover when we do start looking back over the history that there are a series of endings that maybe haven't been closed off. And you and I both use the phrase invisible furniture. That is often what creates the invisible furniture, which new leaders really need to have an awareness of. What would your wise counsel, if you imagine you've got one of your new leaders joining you, let's say your top 3, if you do nothing else, do these 3 things as you start to onboard in our organization, what would those wise words be?
Nice metaphor with the invisible furniture. How often do we get bruises? Probably I would start with that if it's a coaching conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to avoid the bruises this time? I think every new appointment comes with a sort of insecurity for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. You probably seen the research that it's a very high percentage of senior leaders considering leaving the
Yes.
new role or the new company they've
Yes.
joined within the first 6 months.
Yes.
And then it's always a question mark, will I be able to make it here and
Yes.
be successful and make a good impact? Because sometimes you start in an enthusiastic way with something which was proven successful in the past, and
Yes.
it just doesn't work in the new environment.
Yes.
So then I would always start with probably a framework of almost telling or guiding the new
Yes.
leader in how to start, from building relationships,
Yes.
working with a buddy, working with a mentor, potentially even getting the support of an external coach.
Yeah.
And then balancing the here and now and getting clarity around what needs to be done on
Yes.
short term, and what's the job to be done and what's the role about.
Yes.
The focus, I would say, here and now for the leader and for the team around, but then also looking at probably the
Yes,
organizational fit
yes.
and get to understand the culture,
Yeah.
not only what we do, but how we do it.
Absolutely.
All these 3 components to ensure the grounds for a later stage to be able to work on the future and have an impact on the future.
One of the other areas that came up in those research calls is the arena of ownership of the onboarding process. And in some of those conversations, there was real rigor, good intention, discipline. And what I also heard in some instances, others had the experience of it was really good initially, and then it kind of tailed off, and they didn't feel the same level of support as they move through the second half of the onboarding period. From your experience, what needs to happen for that to be more robust and held throughout the period?
There is a general assumption that onboarding, even senior leader integration, it's HR stuff, right? So that's obviously an important ingredient to have a solid framework, to have a guidance.
Yes.
But even with the best crafted integration plans, sometimes you still see happening what you've described.
Yes.
So then what makes it more successful is when you have the line manager, the more senior leader
Yes.
taking ownership for that, or maybe even the manager of the manager and getting
Yes.
involved,
Yes.
and potentially contracting already on 60 days, 90 days, 100 days, whatever it is, intentional reflection point.
There's real kind of moments in time, like milestone events.
Milestones, events to check in
Yes.
and give the right importance
Yeah.
to the process and doing something with those outcomes and
Absolutely.
learnings.
Yeah.
That type of milestone would create the opportunity of an honest assessment about the present.
Absolutely.
So if we spend time honoring the past, potentially we get to the point where we have the
Definitely.
credit to be honest about the present.
Indeed.
And create hope for the future.
Yes. Fantastic. That feels like a good place to pause. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you, Tess. My pleasure.
Oh, thank you.